Hello, students. This is Deepika from Pharma Vision. In today's podcast, we have Atmi Kapasi who has cleared the OPRA examination, which is Australian Licensed Pharmacist exam. So let's welcome Atmi and let's some chit chat with her. Thank you. Okay, so welcome Atmi. Uh,
Thank you.
Congratulations for passing the OPRA examination. So how do you
Thank you
feel
so
now?
much. It was a dream come true for the last 4 years. So this is my second attempt that I just passed. That's why.
Okay, so just tell me about the give me an introduction so students can know about you, your background, your academics, and everything.
So I just passed my Doctor of Pharmacy from Anand Pharmacy College in Anand in May 2025. So that's my basic academic qualification.
Okay, so you just passed OPRA examination as well, along with your degree, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what motivated you to start the OPRA examination?
So basically, I always wanted to go out of the country because the opportunities in India very minimally paid also. So to get a good living and become financially independent was my primary goal. But then I found Australia as one of the countries which was very independent in all of its decisions, because I have noticed that every 6 months the points that you get to enroll to get PR changes so significantly. They keep a roll on whatever the professions and professionals they need, and then only they get to those professionals in their country. So it's not like you have something and then you just flock in. It's not just like that. So that was the main objective of me giving Oprah. That's why I was like motivated to give it.
Okay, so you did your first attempt in the last attempt.
Yeah, so I gave my first attempt in November 25,
Okay.
which was like just in a not just a year completed after my degree. I
Hmm.
studied for it for about 9 months, and then I couldn't do it. So I was motivated by sir to
Hmm.
do it again because I was not scared of exam. Sir told me that it is nothing is bad, nothing goes wrong if you give your second attempt. We can always try better.
True. Okay, so did you ever feel like quitting the OPRA?
Never, never. The perks that we get after passing Oprah can never meets it. It can never give me that feeling.
Okay. So what is your next step after passing the OPRA?
So currently, I'm looking for a lot of internships in Australia as
Mhm.
intern pharmacists, and
Okay.
also getting all the documentations done through the way.
Okay. So do you have any backup if you don't find the internship? Then
Well, the recent backup is I get a job here till I don't get an internship.
okay. Okay. So what's the one mistake you made that OPRA aspirant should avoid?
Never ignore any things that we feel it is very minor and they won't ask. I
Hmm.
made that because I avoided drug interactions and ADRs. Not studying them was my biggest mistake. Because in my first exam, I had about 7 questions only on drug interactions and ADRs, which I
Hmm.
made sure I did it in the second exam preparations, so I clear it. There is the one basic exam no one should avoid. Even never miss out on any calculations. First exam, I received only 2 calculations, but in the second one, I had about 5 to 7 questions only on calculations. So,
Hmm.
major part of the exam is very practical and never study in a in a very methodical way that we study in India. There's a very different way to study.
Okay. So you know the reason of not clearing the first exam, and you
Definitely.
like uh, cleared in the second attempt, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
improving on these points only, I cleared my second exam
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because the other parts always remain the same.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so it is very important to know the mistakes you have done in the first exam. So that's why only you can improve it and appear the second exam. Because
Definitely.
not knowing about the mistakes, so you can't going to attempt like in the second exam as well.
You just can't repeat those mistakes and get the failure again. Then we can't blame our destiny that we didn't pass.
Yeah. So you were sure about like in the second attempt you will going to clear it because only
I,
the one to two mistakes you have to figure it out.
I did figure out my mistakes, but I was still very skeptical that I'll pass it or not. I had that gut feeling always that I'll pass it this time, but
Hmm.
still, you always have that question mark that will I or will I not?
Yeah, true. Okay, so what is the biggest myth about opera that students should not believe?
That OPRA is very difficult. It is the most difficult exam in the world, and we cannot clear it. It is not like that. You
Yeah.
have to be practical. Your questions, your answers have to be practically applicable, and that's just what they want.
Yeah, true. Okay, so tell me about your like question paper, like in the first attempt as well and the second attempt. Students should know about it, like how is the questions and what is the hierarchy of that.
So questions are very basic questions. We prepare about more complex questions always, but the questions they give are very basic, and we always tend to miss those portions, and that's why it becomes very difficult to us. Because in Indian system we are taught to study more difficulties rather than the basic levels. We are not very clear with our basics. The first thing that we have to do is clear our basics and then go ahead, because those are the basic questions that we get. For example, calculations are very simple, but they are very important in daily life. So they are asked. Secondly, drug interactions and areas, as I mentioned, are very important in our daily lives, but in India, they are mostly neglected a lot. So we should never do that. Those are the main things where the people find it is a myth that Oprah is very difficult, but
Yeah.
it actually isn't.
Okay. So I always believe that if you clear your concepts, then if it is related to this concept, you are going to attempt all the questions related to it. So main is it
100%.
to clear the concept, right?
Yes, 100%. Because that's what Sir told me when I went to meet him for my before my second exam. He just said that if you study one portion, study everything around it, and then any question will come even around it, you will be able to answer because you know the concept.
Yeah, totally agree with this. Like students are telling me that I just need mock test, I just need practice questions, but only attempting the MCQs and mock test isn't going to like pass you in the opera. To clearing the
Definitely.
concept is the main thing.
Definitely, because when you solve the same questions repeatedly, you tend to remember the answers. But the same question is obviously not going to come in your exam. It is just a practice that these are the types of questions which are going to come in exam. It is not going to be the exact same questions. So
Yeah,
you just need to clear your concept. Even when you're solving MCQs, if you have that answer correct, still look around everything that question, that what is everything around that question.
yeah. Okay, so what part of the opera preparation actually is harder than you expected?
Actually, the most difficult thing that I uh, thought was more than difficult than I thought was actually the second exam preparation, which was the drug interactions and ADRs, which I thought was very difficult for me, but Sir made it so simple that once I read it, I never had to read it again. It was very easy. It was very bifurcated, so it became very easy for me. But one portion which was very difficult for me was always the medicinal chemistry portions, because I did get one or two questions in my exam, so that's where I lacked. I knew that, but you have to overcome it anyhow.
Okay, so what does becoming a licensed pharmacist mean to you personally?
Is of utmost importance to me, because it is one of the most prestigious dreams that I've ever had for me.
So you always dreamed about like the becoming a pharmacist, counseling with patients, and
Yes,
dealing with
definitely.
them.
Definitely. I always imagine doing that, and I hope I do that soon.
Definitely. Okay, so how was your overall experience with Pharma Vision coaching?
Amazing. Can't have any complaints because the staff is so helpful. I must have disturbed like 100 times during my entire journey, more than 100 times, and they are always so ready to help you in whatever areas you want them. Even sir has been very grateful to me, definitely speaking, because I have gone to sir only in my second exam for at least 5 times. Every time sir would tell me a different perspective of doing the exam, and I've done that, and that's only the result what I have, right?
Okay,
Because
so
the experience has always been so wonderful.
yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so all the materials, all the video lectures, and the mock test, practice questions, are they enough? What do you tell about this?
100%. You don't need anything more than that. It is just enough because everything is within that. All the questions that I got in my exam were actually from the same concepts. Nothing is out of that. Everything is within the same circle. So nothing extra is needed. Don't go for any other books. Just refer sir's material, video lectures. Keep watching the video lectures again and again, how much ever time you can. Even if you're watching for the fifth time, you'll find something which you haven't understood. Have you understood it this time? So never miss those.
Okay.
Never just read the material and don't watch the lecture, because without the lecture, the materials have no importance. Trust me.
Hmm. Okay. Have you ever needed to prep from the outside of any books, anything like that?
Never. I never use any book outside certain material. I didn't even use ChatGPT for my entire portion. The entire concept, the entire material that you get from Sir is enough. You just need to go it very thoroughly and repeatedly. That's enough.
Okay. So, do you think if some students is preparing self preparation for the opera, does he able to pass, or you? What do you think the right mentor, right coaching should be needed in the opera?
Right, mentoring is very important because in Indian system, for as I am in, the main perspective is on exam writing, not on the basic concepts or the core concepts that we need. But in Opera, you need to be practically applicable. You need to have your basics clear. You need to have your cores clear. It is very important because if you read any other book, they just give you endless information. But how to interpret that information, how to map that information with all the concepts is what SIR's doing, which is utmost important, which is of utmost importance.
Okay, so like if student is preparing by self or YouTube or anything other material, what do you recommend to him or her?
Always use the source material. Never prepare outside it, because preparing outside it never gives you what he has gone through. He has gone through the same portion that we are now going to go through. So he is the one who has already seen the path, and we need to follow that. So it is much easier to do that rather
Okay.
than the carving your own path. So always choose the smarter way.
Okay, so his main advice is to like prepare with any coaching, not the pharma vision coaching, any coaching.
The
Just self
coach.
preparation is the basically some time waste if you don't pass in the first attempt. Then after, what do you think? That let's just take the coaching because I have done the self preparation. Where you are lacking, you don't know. Okay, so it's going to waste your 6 months to 12 months, like in the same method. So your recommendation is to take the coaching and like then
100%.
after write the opera, because you don't know about the Australian examination method, how we need to prepare for it, right?
Yeah, so people really don't know because it is a very new path that people are working on, and if someone has walked on that path, it is easier to follow them.
Yeah, true. Okay, so what was your preparation schedule for the opera? Like, how do you prepare, like, your whole day journey, like from 7 to 8 hours? What do you do?
So I used to wake up early in the morning around 5 a.m. because that was my core time at which my concentration would be on the peak. So at that time, my basic studies would be the course like pharmacology or pharmacotherapeutics, which need a lot of attention and concentration. And during like in the morning, that would be my core subjects. In the in the late mornings, I would always do pharmaceutics because that is a quite that interests me more, and also it is quite easier to go along that way. While after lunch you are quite dizzy and sleepy, always take up calculations because they always take away that sleep. So that would be my entire day, and again at night I would revise the pharmacology and therapeutics
Okay.
because sleeping with that mindset and waking up with the same mindset helps you,
Yeah.
which helped me also.
Yeah. So around how much hours like did you spend in a whole day?
So my early morning would be from 5 to 9. Then I would have my breakfast and bath. Then around 11 to 2 would be my second shift of study.
Hmm.
4 to 6 would be my third one, and the last one would be from 9 to around 11:30. That's it.
Okay, also almost around 10 to 11 hours a day.
Yes, which is minimally required because the perspective of study really changes. So
Hmm.
you need to literally go through everything again. Since I had just completed my PharmD and I started the preparation, still I needed this amount of preparation. So if you have a gap between your graduation and preparation of opera, you need this amount of time because you have to go through everything again with a different perspective
True.
of practically application, because in Indian system we don't have MCQs, we just keep writing pages.
Hmm.
So the exactness and the specific answers is very important.
So, any like the almost all questions are covered. Any last advice you would like to give the future students who are going to about the OPRA examination?
Always work on your weaknesses. Always never ignore the important points that sir say ki, this is going to come in exam. Well, let me tell you, every of that points have been in my exam. So never overlook them. Never overlook them, because in both of my exams, all of those points were there in both of my exams. So you can imagine they have to be in other exams. So you can never ignore those.
Okay.
Just follow sir and you will be guaranteed success in it. That is what I have my experience.
Congratulations once again and best of luck for your future journey.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your time.
Thank you. Not
Okay.
an issue.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye bye.